Hi and welcome to this week's Three Legs Four Wheels F1 podcast. It's Paul here with
Dan.
Chris.
Biscuit.
That's Lee.
Lee has changed his name.
Does that come from too much rubbing your laptop?
A little bit.
Oh, right, okay.
Also, whenever else we do a podcast and anyone else has got a biscuit, we wait. Lee's got a biscuit. Hello, welcome to Three Legs Four Wheels.
I kind of didn't realise that the mouse pad was oversensitive on this, and I accidentally started recording.
Accidentally started recording and did the intro. Accidentally.
Well, when I saw I was recording, I thought I might as well go for it.
It's muscle memory.
Yeah, I'd committed to the corner.
Hello, listeners. Welcome to
both
another.
of you.
Yeah. Welcome to another fun-packed edition of our show on episode 97 now.
97. I mean, this is F1 97. This is actually a legitimate game now.
Yeah, like off of PlayStation in 1997.
In 1997. I think we're all giddy because it's first day back, isn't it? Really,
It's,
Pretty much.
This is a preview show. We're previewing the first Grand Prix of
Podcast
2017.
proper.
Yeah, podcast proper. This is awesome.
yeah. Still got wild speculation, but at least we know what we're speculating about this time.
Yeah, but we've got real news, real speculation, not fake news and fake speculation. We leave that to other people.
I thought all speculation was fake until it became new. I've confused myself again.
You have. What are we talking about, Paul?
What are we talking about? Let me have a look at the running order. Should we do the news first?
Yeah, we can do the news first.
Obviously, the big story that came out after the last show was McLaren are exploring other engine suppliers,
Namely Mercedes. Their previous.
So they've
Sounds like
sent
they're going-
Honda a letter saying we'd like to see other people.
Yes.
Exploring for engines, though, it sounds like they're going splunking for them, doesn't it?
I don't know what kind of cave they've dragged the Honda engine up from, but
Apparently, and I don't know how this works in the world of business, especially Formula One business, there was an informal chat, an informal conversation. Now, how do you have an informal conversation? Was Zach Brown just walking through Brackley and decided to pop in to, oh, hi guys, I was just in the area and I was just wondering, how's that engine of yours?
I have no idea, but I've got a funny feeling that you have to wear a Hawaiian shirt.
Possibly. Yeah, and you have to sunglasses and pina coladas.
Yeah.
so basically you got to turn up dressed like Jimmy Buffett
Yeah.
and then ask for an engine.
Or Timmy Mallet.
Timmy Mallet. He'll be at the Grand Prix this weekend.
Oh
'cause
yeah,
he lives
yeah,
in
yeah.
Melbourne.
Yeah, he always turns up at Melbourne, doesn't he?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, that's something to look out for on the live blog.
There's a man.
First plug for the live blog this weekend on 3legs4wheels.com.
Yes, there is a live blog.
But yeah, it would appear that McLaren have had an informal conversation with Mercedes, and according to reports, weren't rebuffed
No, they weren't
or
basically.
rebuffeted.
Yeah. Yeah, they weren't kicked back straight away. Mercedes, of course, had an allocation ready for this year's season for Manor, but Manor won't be taking them up on that allocation, of course. So that does leave a Mercedes engine or an allocation for Mercedes engines free.
Will they actually have built those though?
I don't know. That's another question I can't answer.
Given the world we live in, they will have surplus engines, though, won't they?
They will.
You would have thought they would have had more than they need.
Yeah, because you might get to Australia and every single... It's probably not going to happen. Every single car could go pop with a Mercedes engine. So they need engines ready to go, here you go, here you go, here you go. We're terribly sorry.
Well, yeah, Mercedes engineers work with Mercedes-powered teams as Ferrari engineers work with Sauber and Haas, and Renault engineers will work with Red Bull and Toro Rosso.
Yeah,
so
don't forget the tag engineers.
Sorry, the tag engineers. I completely forgot about the tag watchmakers who sit down with Red Bull and explain how their engine works.
And of course, Honda engineers will be sitting on the naughty step being told to think about what they've done.
Maybe this is what's happened. Honda got all fucking confused, and when they hired people in to build their engines, they hired Seconda in or something.
Yeah, my uncle used to say that Seconda watches were made by brickies in Glasgow on the tea breaks.
But they're it's been said for a long time that since it transpired that this year's Honda engine, despite copying a Mercedes design, might not be very reliable, very powerful, that McLaren should probably start looking elsewhere. And I said, couple of weeks ago on the podcast, if I was Zach Brown, I'd be on the phone to everyone. I don't think I mentioned Mercedes, actually.
Well, no, we were thinking about somebody coming into Formula One, not them.
Well, yeah, using their sort of, we can't win as a customer team ethic, which was a Ron Dennis ethic, but, he's not part of the Formula One team anymore.
And you still can't fault the logic behind it.
No, you can't.
No, the only thing, you can't fault the logic behind it, and it's, to be honest, it's the way a team like McLaren should think, because they're not in it. They're not in it like Williams are at the minute to score podiums, and if the chance of a win comes up and they don't throw it down the road, they might get a win in a season.
They didn't do this because they were looking for race wins. They did this because they were looking for championships.
Yeah,
absolutely. And
but if you're looking for sponsors, you're looking to look good, aren't you? And that's
you've got to be at the front end.
Well, that's another important part of this as well, because Honda plough £100 million into McLaren every year,
which is the equivalent of a title sponsor's kind of money, really.
Yeah. So essentially, over 10 years, you're looking at £1 billion deal between Honda and McLaren.
That's mental when you think of it like that.
Yeah, 100 million. So they're using McLaren as like full on sponsorship, but it's not good enough. No, not even for Honda. Honda can't push that forward and go, look how good we are in F1. Oh, hang on. We've only managed to do, I think the total is 14 flying laps without any problems in both tests. They haven't done any more than that. They didn't do a long race run. They didn't manage it. So
I think they didn't get more than like 20 or consecutive laps in, did they? They were doing, might have even been in the teens.
I think their longest flying run was 14 laps.
That's mental.
Yeah. And that's not even a stint.
Do you know what? If it wasn't for the fact that this was McLaren, if that had been Manor or Sauber or Hispania or something,
you would be calling them all the names under the sun.
We would all be saying it's dangerous.
Get off the grid.
Yeah.
I mean, you can see how bad things are when even Eric Boullier said something definitive about the whole situation, because he's been quoted as saying we'd be winning again with Mercedes engines.
Yeah.
I mean,
that's a very solid thing. As we had,
for the master of the vague answer to come out with something like that.
But they always knew that they could win races with McLaren engines. With Mercedes engines. That wasn't the issue.
Mm-hmm.
It was winning becoming world champions
was the issue.
But they didn't expect to spend 3 years at the back of the grid.
No,
I don't think they did either. And I think there does come a point where, and I've said this last couple of podcasts, where you got to step back and go, all right, we made a decision. It might have been the wrong one. How do we go about fixing it? And if retying up the partnership with Mercedes is the way forward for McLaren, at least until they decide what their philosophy is again. Whilst they're going through this transitional period, then I'm all for it, to be quite honest with you.
Top and bottom of it is, if McLaren had have been Williams, which is where I would expect them to have been for the last couple of years, if they had Mercedes engines.
Sniffing podiums.
Yeah. But I would also say that they would have won the races that Williams lost.
Yeah.
British Grand Prix 2015.
Spa, when both the Mercedes took each other out and Red Bull won, didn't they?
Yeah.
That should have been a Williams that won that race, because it was a circuit that suited a Mercedes engine. It was Williams being fucking Williams why they couldn't manage it.
Do you think McLaren being the only team that's running the Honda engines has hurt them?
Yeah. I think
because they've had half the amount of testing that they would have had with a second team.
Well, they haven't even had the amount of testing that you'd expect to get with a proper Formula One car. At least if they had 4 cars on the grid breaking down, they would have been getting one team's worth of data a race.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, I mean, you look at the advances Renault made. They had 2 teams running their engines last year. All right, we joke about the Red Bull. It's a tag engine, but that is a Renault that is powering that car.
Yeah.
And you look at the improvements that Renault made during the season.
They did.
And how much they seem to have improved in the off-season with what the Red Bulls and the Renaults and the Toro Rossos were putting in during the tests.
Yeah, they were quick. Renault, they did have a few reliability problems, the Renault powered cars.
But they're another team that's done a ground-up redesign. You'd
completely,
expect some reliability
there
issues.
are going to be some bugs, but and it would be foolish to think there'd be no bugs in that Honda engine. But I mean, when it appears to work, and of course, again, we don't know this for definite, but when it appears to work at full chat, it's slower than it should be, and it's unreliable.
Yeah.
Well, this is the funny thing I found with the way everyone threw the toys out of the pram with Renault. I mean, you talk about one of the largest car manufacturers in the world with great Formula One pedigree. I think I said this last year when when everyone was going on about how bad the Renault engine was. They were obviously going to fix that.
Yeah.
And I could never understand why Renault got so much flack for starting again, essentially.
No, I mean they shouldn't have got that much flack for
It was Red Bull, wasn't it? It was Red Bull being
It
impetuous.
was Christian Horner coming out with Mercedes. The new formula. Mercedes have got it right, better than our engine suppliers. We should be winning this. We won the last 4. Wah wah wah.
Yeah.
And that's why Renault were getting it. And I think it was completely unfair the way that he went about it.
So,
but it's worked, and Renault got their act together last year, and seem to have done more so for this year, whilst putting a team together at the same time.
Well, when you think about it, Red Bull essentially, by all this talks about them getting a Mercedes engine or getting a Ferrari engine, backed Renault into the corner where they bought a Formula One team.
but they improved, and I think this is what McLaren might be getting Honda to do by openly admitting that they've contacted Mercedes and had an informal chat with them. And Dan, I think you agreed with me when I posted it up on Twitter in the week, saying that this is the thing to say to Honda: look, we're ready to go. If you can't produce the goods, we're not pissing about here.
Yeah.
You've got to provide us with the power and the reliability. Otherwise, we will go. And it's basically, it's not McLaren saying, let's go for Mercedes and let's do it now. It's McLaren saying, look, Honda, this is not good enough. Sort it out, or we are off.
What I did find interesting was on the Sky developer special, when they were talking about this whole situation. If any of our listeners that have access to Sky on Demand, I think it's still on catch up on the F1 channel.
For those that don't, it's probably available on a torrent site somewhere.
Yeah,
Or YouTube.
Yeah, F1 developers special. But essentially, they were talking about the engine. But then what really caught me off guard was they started talking about the car, and they were saying, obviously McLaren being quite bullish about the chassis, and all the members of the panel said, we can't see this because we were all at the track watching the cars go around, and where the other cars will look glued down in certain areas, the McLaren looked all over the place and was sliding.
Well, over the past couple of years, you haven't seen the sort of results you get from a great chassis from McLaren, have you?
Monaco, for instance. Yeah.
Monaco and Hungary are the two big chassis circuits.
And they were fucking dumping Hungary, weren't they?
No, Alonso got a 5th in Hungary.
No, they're all right in Hungary.
Yeah.
Monaco was just...
Yeah, Monaco was...
And it was wet Monaco as well, so that's even more on the chassis.
But anyway, they talk about... the only other thing is, if you're 20 miles an hour down, then... I mean, I realise that's a straight line, but you've got to imagine that the power delivery isn't as much. So if you're not taking the same speed into a corner, then you're losing downforce already.
Which is why it'd be sliding
because you're
around.
not going quick enough.
Yeah, correct. Which is why it's McLaren will have built that car to have dealt with
forward.
to dealt with the speed that they were expecting.
Yeah.
If it's not performing to the speeds that they're expecting, then they will have an imbalance in the car, and it will be horrendously unpredictable to drive, and will cause an awful lot of problems. And I think Stoffel Van Dorn might suffer very badly with this, because he's never had, as far as I can tell, looking back at his single-seater career, he's never had a bad car to drive, and this is the first time he's in Formula 1 now. He's in a bad car. 2016 McLaren was okay, but I think this is on a par with 2015, and we'll be able to tell when we start watching the race early next Sunday how bad the McLaren is, Because if you remember in 2015, when Kevin Magnussen stood in for Alonso after his incident,
Yeah, that late substitution where we were all shocked.
yes, we were very shocked about that. But
And
yeah,
he did put in an electric performance, didn't he, Magnussen?
no, because his car blew up on the way to the grid. I think he was on his way to turn 3, and you could see a piston fall out the back of the car and bounce along the road. And that was 2015 Honda, and it was just like, oh dear. So if this McLaren gets both cars to the grid, it's a little bit better than 2015. But I
Double retirement in it. It's got to be.
And as I said last week, I think the only thing that can really save McLaren and Honda this year is the fact that the in-season development is unlimited now. You can develop your. You're going to have to take penalties, I know, but you can develop your engines in season. No token spending as such. And so Honda are the kind of company that will just throw money at it until it works.
Top and bottom of it is they've got 4 races till Spain.
Yeah.
So they must have already written off the first 4 races.
Yeah. But the thing is, as well, it comes down. This whole thing comes down to this. You got to weigh it up with Honda will throw money at it on one side until it starts working, and on the other side, you've got a frustrated McLaren who will only their time is running out before McLaren go. Sorry, guys, we're gonna have to do something about this. And whether they embarrass Honda into leaving the sport, or they just switch engines, and I don't know that they'll do it mid-season.
There's been speculation that they would, but I
But
can't.
which one of those is going to come
I can't
first?
see it happening.
McLaren switching engines because they've run out of patience, or Honda throwing money at it until it works.
There is another possibility.
McLaren go bust.
Alonso runs.
McLaren don't have a whole lot of sponsors at the moment.
No, they
Honda
don't.
are pouring money into them,
Yeah.
and McLaren are bad-mouthing Honda.
Mm-hmm.
Honda could buy out the team and make it Team Honda, who would not be in a position to say, well, it's the engine that's the problem.
That would rely, because it's not a publicly traded company, it's in the hands of private shareholders, that would rely on the remaining shareholders, the ones that ousted Ron and brought Zach Brown in, agreeing to it.
I'd say there's more chance of that now that Ron isn't there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, Ron was trying to buy back full control.
Maybe even a
Remember
Honda
they've
buying
got-
out half the team and it becoming an official McLaren Honda team. You know, as in not a Honda as the engine supplier, but you know they both work in conjunction.
Yeah,
together.
the only thing we'd do with buying out half the team would the remaining investors be happy with that, because if Honda aren't producing the goods now for McLaren, Honda, why would they produce the goods for Honda McLaren?
Because it really worked well with them after they bought BAR.
That BAR was another funny one, wasn't it? I mean, Honda pulled out there, and I've never really understood why.
It was what pulled out of Formula One.
Yeah.
It was
a recession.
2008. Yeah.
Oh, it was a recession.
Yeah, Honda pull out of Formula One every
Yeah.
time there's a global recession.
Mm.
Honda pulled out of Formula One when there was a global recession in the early 90s. They were still pretty successful. I mean,
Yeah.
all right, they lost 92 to Williams Renault, but they were still pretty successful. And then they were like, no, global recession. We're not doing motorsport anymore, and pulled out of Formula One.
Yeah.
Don't forget that was at the same time that Renault pulled out.
Yeah.
Then as well.
Yeah.
In when? Sorry, in the early 90s.
Well, the early to mid 90s, because Renault called it a day in 96, didn't they?
96, 97, I think it was.
97 was the first year of the Mecha Chromes.
Was it?
Yeah.
Was it a BAR Button was second in the championship or was it a Honda?
I think it was a Honda.
It
That was the first year after the buyout.
Right. So essentially, BAR built a good
It
car.
was the BAR car,
and then it steadily went downhill.
and then it steadily went downhill
And
until
then they got it just right and decided to pull out,
Yeah.
yeah.
And then Earth
leaving
Dreams.
Brawn with a great car.
Yeah.
And then Earth Dreams, everyone, yay!
How different that would have been if they'd have left that engine, because that back then Honda was the quickest engine on the grid, I believe, in a straight line.
I think so.
Yeah. So how different things would have been if Honda would have kept their lump in the back of the Brawn. You'd have had Honda money there as well to continually develop in the car instead of getting having very few
Well,
updates come through the
what
pipe.
we'd have seen is McLaren still being the de facto Mercedes team because Mercedes wouldn't have bought Braun out.
Yeah,
They'd have pumped more money into McLaren.
yeah.
And we'd be having a conversation about which one of them's going to win this year, who's going to come third, Ferrari or Red Bull.
Jensen might have been a multiple world champion by then for Honda.
Yep.
Back in the room, back in the room, back in the room.
I'd like to go and live in that universe.
What we got next? Paddy Lowe finally confirmed at Williams.
Yeah, well, we had...
Which was about 10 minutes after I sent a message to our chat group saying
Ah.
still no word from Williams on what Paddy Lowe's doing, and then bang, the press release.
Well, we had
comes.
James Allison, didn't we? I think we discussed that briefly on last week's podcast.
Yeah, that came through last Monday.
Yeah, James Allison confirmed at Mercedes, and as soon as that was done, it was the very next day that they decided to confirm Paddy Lowe at Williams.
I thought there's a story to be told there.
What, the Paddy Lowe's gone to Williams and
Yeah,
Allison's
yeah.
gone to Mercedes?
Oh, just the fact of, I mean, I understand why Allison's gone. Paddy to Williams there's a story
it was.
there.
Well, there is a story there because it was. I think Mercedes' official press release said something along the lines of Mercedes were not able to fulfill Paddy's ambitions or something. It's like, well, hang on a second. What are your ambitions? You've just won 3 world championships in a row as the co-head of one of the world's biggest sporting teams, you know, owned by one of the world's biggest car manufacturers. So you've gone to Williams to become the sole head of a team that can maybe do things? I don't know. It's
Same thing we do every night, Pinky. Try to take over the world.
long term thing here. I think one day you will see Lewis Hamilton driving for Williams. Now
follow Paddy Lowe.
Folly
Padolo. It was St. Patrick-
Are you still on last weekend?
I'll say St. Patrick's Day.
Yeah.
It's gonna be interesting how he works there because I mean we've talked a bit before about him going in the Patrick Head role, but you just can't imagine Paddy Lowe shouting at people.
Oh, I can. I think because he's a little man, he'd be an angry.
No,
little
I don't
man.
think he needs to shout. He just needs to look. He just needs to know. And
I think
he needs to look.
you need to worry when he goes quiet.
You'd have it. You'd
When
have
he
to
pulls
have
you into
like.
his office and you sit down in front of him and you're like, oh, I'm going to get telling off here from Paddy Lowe, and he sits there with his hand over his mouth and he doesn't say anything but just looks at you for 10 minutes. That says more than Toto Wolff going ballistic at you.
I think you're wrong. I think he'll probably take his steps with him. You know, the little staircase he had to run up to look Toto in the eyes.
Yeah.
Oh come on, just about everybody needs those anyway.
So all you'd hear is him scurrying up those, and then "Rah!" and he'd shout at you.
Possibly. Yeah, possibly just a very, very, placid man in public, but quite fraught maybe behind the scenes when he needs to be. Best of luck to Paddy at Williams.
Either that or he jumps off on and off the steps going, Paddy low, Paddy high, Paddy low.
Paddy in the middle. I can't do it all. On and on subs.
Oh dear God! Oh, it's all right. We've got a joke item next.
Toto Wolff goes, Paddy and the Williams, what?
Yeah.
Force India.
Well, that was an interesting one.
That's one hell of a sponsorship deal that they've signed with
Is it a water deal?
Water purification company whose corporate colours appear to be blue and white, so they've painted the car pink.
It's advertising fucking genius is what it is.
That's exactly
It's got
what it
everyone
is.
talking about it.
Can I say I think it's fucking ace.
It doesn't look great, but it's
No,
wonderful.
I think it's one of the best looking cars on the grid.
No.
I think it looks ace.
No, when you consider what we were already discussing, what the front end of that car looks like.
Oh,
painting
no,
it
I just
pink
meant
is-
the colour scheme, I think it's grand.
Yeah, painting it pink is not a good idea.
No, it's now the Vijay Malia.
Yeah. But
Flangemobile.
I
Can we
think
not
it looks
decide on
great.
Flangemobile?
We have two suggestions. It's either the Vijay or the Flangemobile.
Let the listeners decide that.
You can decide. Send us a tweet with the hashtag, either hashtag flange or hashtag Vijay.
Just
Let's get Twitter interested.
I'm here, I'm hybrid, get used to it.
And the drivers, of course, have to wear pink racing suits and pink helmets as well.
Which that's just The pink helmets. Good God, I
Did
nearly
anyone-
wet myself.
Did anyone see Nico Hulkenberg's tweet
Yes.
after
Yeah.
the launch? He has,
Yeah.
he has
This is
a whole
why
picture
I
of the
left-
car. Yeah.
Force India.
Yeah.
And Force India responded with something quite comical.
A picture of him with Hello Kitty, I think it was.
Was that what it was? Yeah. Yeah, and there was a bit of banter going back and forth between Nico Hulkenberg and his old employers. But yeah,
It's a shame Ocon went there now because I think Pascal would fit right in.
Princess Pascal and his pink overalls. Yeah. Oh, I like this. But yeah, he. But when I say he's in Nico Hulkenberg now, he's now got to drive a car wearing black and yellow overalls, which, let's be honest, didn't look the best at the Renault car launch. But he must have breathed a sigh of relief when he saw that Force India.
Yeah, it's had the fireman Sam or Penelope Pitts.
I've got-
There is a slight livery change as opposed to the one because what we saw, the pink car that they released was an actual graphic image. It wasn't a photo of a car or anything. I believe there is a slight livery change in which there is quite a bit more silver and black on the car, mainly on the airbox, but the rest of the car is still pink.
Yeah, I think it's great because it's one of the most colourful grids we've ever had.
Bright pink, bright orange. Do you know what it is? It's great for new people coming to the sport.
Yeah,
because
yeah.
You can see the bright pink car, Force India. Bright orange car, McLaren.
Well, look,
silver car,
Yeah.
Mercedes. Not like silver car, Force India. Silver car, McLaren.
Yeah.
Silver car. Who's that?
Well, I was just going to say, a couple of years ago, it was like you had fucking eight McLarens on the grid and a
Yeah,
couple
yeah.
of Ferraris.
it was, yeah. Yeah.
So no, I think because this is one thing I've always liked about that semi-professional thing. What's it called? NASCAR. It's it's so colourful and vibrant. The grid, you know. I suppose it's because I don't take it seriously. It's just a bit of a laugh in it.
Well, you can't tell what colour the cars are in NASCAR. All you can see is sponsors.
Sponsors and then a blur.
I don't know, you can pick out the odd chewing tobacco brand or something.
But that whichever NASCAR it is, it's Skittles Racing. But whichever one it is, that's done out like that.
No, I think there is a car sponsored by Skittles.
Yeah, that's true. I mean,
Oh, right.
that car, that's such a good livery. I love that livery. I think it looks great. And the one,
It's the same colour as the Formula One grid.
yes,
Yeah. See that? I agree with what you're saying. It's the most colourful Formula One grid.
Yeah.
You can identify the cars very easily. Even Red Bull Toro Rosso look completely different this
yeah,
year.
it's brilliant.
And it's wonderful for the fans because the fans are going to be able, like new fans or casual fans, are going to be able to look at a spinning Toro Rosso, for example, and be like, "Oh, Toro Rosso has spun," without looking at a spinning Toro Rosso and going, "Is that a Red Bull?"
It's going to be great for the first race of the season where we're getting up in the middle of the night for it and
We don't
not
have
quite
to look
with
too
it.
hard. Yeah. Yeah.
It's such a shame though that, especially for like you say, new fans that are coming to Formula One. It's such a shame that the shark fins are there because this would be one sexy looking Formula One grid if it wasn't for those fucking big bits of plastic on the back of the cars.
I mean, because you've got smaller air boxes, I've noticed as well.
Before listeners lose the shit, I realise it's fucking carbon fibre.
Oh yeah.
Carry on.
But you've got smaller air boxes on most of those cars as well.
Yeah.
Like Ferraris is incredibly small.
But I think they
look
look so sleek if that wasn't
exactly. Yeah, but they look a lot bigger because of the way they've done the paint on the shark fin.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I know what you mean. Shark fins, excuse me, look as though they're here to stay. It'd be quite interesting to see.
They won't be there next year.
Possibly not. No, it looks. It'd be quite interesting to see who turns up with the shark fin and what configuration they turn up with it in. In
Everybody
Australia.
will turn up with a shark fin.
Mercedes tested both, didn't they?
It's well,
With and without.
Sorry, saying that we might be saved by like the massive shark fin because something I was reading was saying that extra rear wing is quite beneficial.
Like the McLaren and the Renault with their big squares that basically
No,
overtake everything.
the extra rear wing that Mercedes were
T-wing, you
using.
mean?
Yeah,
Yeah,
apparently
yeah.
that's for what it is, a lot of downforce for what it is for very little effort.
Yeah. So,
Yeah, you know, Ross Brawn actually has come out and said,
sporting director of Formula One.
sporting
Ross
director
Brawn.
of Formula One, Ross Brawn, has said that,
AKA Saviour.
yes, that's the one. No, I don't want to restart this laptop. He said that it's frustrating that the teams aren't been in the shark fins because,
They asked.
yeah,
They asked and they wouldn't let them.
They asked. They're not allowed, and he wanted to put the numbers on them before, so they were identifiable from the side.
Oh, right.
But-
See, I don't hate that idea.
No,
Yeah.
if you're going to have it, use them for something.
Yeah.
Although I've got to say, I still like the LED displays on the Indy cars.
Yeah.
like we've got in the WEC.
Yeah, I like that. To be perfectly honest, I still say that allowing the teams to run slightly different liveries on each car, more than just the fucking mirrors, I think that would be fucking ace if you could. If a driver's car was their car, essentially, you could tell.
Yeah, it was their
just by
livery,
looking
yeah.
at it. It was their car.
Yeah. I know what you mean.
Right, next up, Mercedes have been taking a little bit of flack for removing the "Keep Fighting Michael" hashtag from the cars.
Yeah, mainly across Europe and especially around the legions of Michael Schumacher fans. Ever since he had his accident was it 2013? I think he had his accident. Mercedes put hashtag "Keep Fighting Michael" on their car and have been completely dominant.
Yeah.
Ever since Michael's unfortunate accident, but they've taken it off the car as missing from the 2017 car, and the response has been so big from fans of Formula One that Mercedes have actually had to respond and said there is an initiative being set up in conjunction with Michael Schumacher's family, Mercedes, and a couple of other investment groups that sponsored Michael throughout his career. And they are it's called the Keep Fighting Initiative, and they've taken the hashtag off the car because they want it to basically to reuse it. They want to have it to have more impact when it's used again for the initiative, the Keep Fighting initiative.
Which is
for
I'm sure that's all right as far as
yeah.
the thing, but it's basically just PR speak for we can't have that on the car forever.
Yes,
Well,
but
they did-
Williams have got a Senna S.
Yeah, but to
On
be
their
fair,
car.
Senna died in their car.
Yes, he did.
I'm not saying they were. There was none of this negligence or guilt or anything like that.
No, not
But
at
I
all.
can understand that one. But I think I hate things like this, like more than anything, when something silly and small happens, and the internet explodes.
Well, I mean, when we first saw the 2017 Mercedes...
I was just waiting for you to say so. I've been trolling the comments section in the bottom half of the internet and made what I call a found poem.
No.
I mean, we didn't notice straight away, did we? Let's be honest. When we looked at the car, we didn't say, "Oh, there's no hashtag Keep Fighting Michael on the car.
Yeah.
Where's that gone?"
But you know
it doesn't
what
mean that he's not in their thoughts.
No, of course
I
not.
mean, a lot
Doesn't
of
mean
drivers
that they want him to stop fighting.
exactly
Yeah.
no. But this is exactly it. Nobody does, and it's a lot of drivers have removed hashtag JB17 from their helmets for Jules Bianchi. They had him in support when he was still fighting for his life. And when he unfortunately passed away, it was quite prevalent again then.
Yeah.
But they're not there so much now. I don't know if any driver still uses the hashtag JB17 or Forza Jules or anything like that.
I think
anymore.
there are still a couple in other Formula. Occasional podcast listener and now Formula 2 driver Norman Nato still has the JB17.
Does he?
And I think come Japan, you'll
We'll-
see it a lot again.
We'll see it again then.
Yeah.
Again,
But
like,
it's do you know what I mean?
people have died.
We might see hashtag Keep Fighting Michael in German Grand Prix, for
Yeah.
example.
But like people have died, people will die, and it's shit. Of
Yes.
course it's shit. But like, you can't just fucking attack people for something like that.
No, I know what you mean. It's been
Blown out of proportion, and
a little bit.
overreaction is the new reaction now,
Yeah,
and it does my fucking head in. The internet's a horrible place.
exactly.
Except for this podcast.
Yeah,
And Banter Club.
Yeah,
And Three Legs Fourth Down.
I don't know about that.
Yeah.
No, neither do I.
No, neither does anybody else.
I wasn't on the last one. I can say what I want.
Oh no.
Yeah, I actually missed a podcast about
Jesus.
something. It was when I was away for the weekend.
I see. That makes sense.
Yeah, I was doing more fun things.
So yeah.
Yeah, don't tell them I was listening to this. If you want to find out more details of the Keep Fighting initiative, they've got a website set up at keepfighting.ms.
Yeah.
There's full details there. Have a look. There are various activities that they are promoting
That
and
sounds
what their
needlessly
vision is.
confusing.
Well,
Well,
keep
no.
fighting MS.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's
I'm
multiple sclerosis.
I'm
yeah.
not even trying to be funny here, but that seems odd to me.
Yeah, that's it. I can see
Yeah.
where you're coming from.
Yeah.
Should we move on to lighter things?
Lighter
Let's.
things.
Lighter things. We've got the Grand Prix preview to come, but shall we do the games first?
Games first. Fun
Yeah.
things.
The fun things.
Hang
Is
on.
that a guitar I see?
Yeah, it is. Let me just grab it 1 second.
That's a guitar that I can hear.
After
Pre-tuned this
you've
week.
grabbed it, you might want to pick the guitar up.
Right. Who chose the style this week? I think was it Dwayne.
Dwayne with a very late suggestion.
What's his surname?
Schoenberg,
Not Dibley.
not Dibley. So while Lee brings up the questions.
Or The Rock.
No, The Rock is his middle name.
Yeah.
It used to be Rocky. He's just
Yeah, Dwayne Rocky Johnson.
yeah.
And then Dwayne The Rock Johnson.
It was actually Rocky Maivia back then.
Because of his great uncle or
Was it
uncle.
Peter Maivia
Hi-
and Rocky
hi-
Johnson?
High Chief Peter Maivia
Yeah.
was his uncle.
It's almost like you know enough about wrestling to do a
I
podcast
know.
on it.
I know.
Anyway, Chris has got a guitar in his hand.
Wrestler. We're talking about the actor The Rock.
Yeah. The guy that sells
Yeah.
suits.
Yeah. And bodybuilding things.
There was a great group of pictures, with The Rock constantly stood there in a suit holding his cufflinks,
Yeah.
and but there was 100 pictures of him in the same pose with the caption The Rock is really conscious about losing his cufflinks.
Yeah, Dwayne Schoenberg suggested that we, I think it was Chad Kroger off of Nickelback. I can't do that. Or Tom York from Radiohead.
So it was Chad Kroger or a singer.
Yeah, basically. So we'll go with that. You're a total shot. Yeah, you're a total. What the hell are you doing here? You don't belong here.
It's my house.
Total That'll do.
Excellent as always.
was the one too many octaves
No,
on the way there?
I can do it, but it's
The trousers need to be a bit tighter to get the next line.
I don't want it. It's similar to when I think somebody suggested that I do Justin Hawkins. It's not quite possible. Yeah, I don't want it to become the focal point of the podcast. You know what I mean? It's fun.
Yeah.
But I don't want it to be the main thing.
It doesn't need to be a full song.
No.
Are we ready?
Well,
Pretty much.
the three of us are here. We've got our brains. How many clues we got this week?
10.
We got 10.
I don't know whether this is going to be really tough or really easy.
Okay.
Right.
You're the one that wrote the questions. You should have an idea.
Was
Well,
this
it's dead easy for me.
Was this a fan suggestion again, or was this somebody?
Nope.
This was from the brain of
It was
Lee.
from the brain.
From the brain of Lee.
About 10
David
minutes.
Icke.
Yeah. I was born in 1971.
So that makes 46 years old.
Yes. Or will be 46 this year. So.
So
I think Ralph Schumacher's about that age. He's a couple of years younger than Michael.
Juan Pablo Montoya,
That's
around about that age.
could be about the same age.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Of course, if we're not looking at Formula One, we might be looking at rallying or other notable sports that contain engines and wheels.
Yeah. Somebody from MotoGP, perhaps.
Rossi's not quite that old, is he?
Or films and such. Don't forget the fact that it's motoring related or motorsport related.
Okay, right, okay, yeah. I don't know if that was a clue or not, but you might have given me an idea. Okay, carry on.
Yep.
Shall we go for the next one?
Yeah.
I am American.
I'm gonna throw one out here. Patrick Dempsey.
He's older than that, isn't he?
No, I don't think he is. I am pretty sure he's about that age. He has his own racing team. He's raced in Le Mans.
Patrick Dempsey, who was in Dallas.
No, it's Patrick Duffy.
Oh, all right, Patrick Duffy.
Patrick Dempsey's an American actor with a racing team.
Ah, right, okay. I thought I was getting well confused then. I was like, no, Patrick. Wrong Patrick.
Wrong Patrick.
Patrick Dempsey's got his own racing team.
Yeah, he was in Le Mans a couple of years ago with his team.
Fair enough. What are you thinking, Dan? Any thoughts yet?
Not yet, no.
Fair
Sorry.
enough. That's
Clue,
all right.
clue 3, and then we have to make a guess.
We have to make our first guess after this next clue. So we're looking for an American 46-year-old.
Unlike Dan, I'm very used to going left.
So somebody who goes left a lot.
So that's IndyCar, NASCAR.
Yeah.
Jeff Gordon.
Yeah,
American listeners already know who this is.
they probably do.
This is where our knowledge of American sports falls down somewhat.
How old is Dale Earnhardt Jr.?
In real years or redneck years?
In whatever measurement Lee would use.
Are they like cat years?
Oh, hang on. Dario Franchitti. He'd be
Yeah.
about the right
He's
age.
Scottish, though.
He's American these days.
No, he's still Scottish.
Is he
He
still
just,
Scottish? I thought he got American citizenship.
maybe, but he's still Scottish.
It's not like Lee to ever throw a curveball in like that, though, is it?
So we've got to make a guess. So we're thinking of left turners.
A left turner.
Jeff Gordon's quite a well-known left turner. NASCAR driver, Billy Bob Schottenheimer or something. I am making that Should we
up.
go with what I said then?
Jeff Gordon?
Yeah, we'll just guess at Jeff Gordon.
I'm Jeff Gordon.
Oh, great!
Yes! After 3 clues.
I have also won Daytona 500 3 times. I served as a substitute driver for Dale Earnhardt.
Yes.
Dale Earnhardt Jr. in the number 88 Hendrick Motorsport Chevrolet in select races in 2016. I have won the NASCAR Cup Series 4 times. My last win was in 2015. I was 57th in the NASCAR Infinity Series. 73 races run over 5 years.
What?
Yeah,
He's 57th?
that's what I thought. How fucking weird is that championship?
It's not Infinity, the engine manufacturers. It's Infinity, as in the time.
Oh,
takes
sorry,
for
no,
the
it's not. It's not
championship.
actually Infinity. Sorry, I read it wrong. It's Xfinity.
Used to go out with Infinity, but
Right.
split up.
Check this out. Considering he's only won 4 championships, yeah.
Yeah, he's
Right.
a very
Check-
well-revered driver.
Check
there.
this out for fucking statistics, yeah.
Do it.
I have won 93 races. I have 477 top 10s, but only 12 poles.
What? 477 top 10 finishes.
Yeah.
93 wins.
And you get about 200 cars in a NASCAR race,
Yeah.
so a top
Yeah.
10's even more special.
I also have my own video game.
Is there a Jeff Gordon NASCAR?
Yeah.
We've all got video games.
But Lee has his own video game,
Yeah, he does.
which is returning.
That's so smooth.
Oh yeah.
Oh, Jesus.
I glided into that like a Danny Rick chicane.
That was so smooth, I almost feel abused.
So,
it's the return of...
Formula Lee.
Yes.
First race of the season, first race of a new championship.
First race of the season, first race of a new championship, and my pick for this weekend, I thought we'd have it all very nice and shiny because Ferrari are going to win the Australian Grand Prix, as Kimi Raikkonen is going to win the Australian Grand Prix.
Well,
So,
there's your prediction early.
We're going to do it in a Ferrari.
Yeah.
We're going to do it midday, sunshine.
Excellent. Get that up on the Facebook page.
Yep.
Obviously, get your times into us. You can send a photo of the timing screen. We need to see the time and the car that you were in
And the date.
and the date.
Because you could have done Melbourne last year in
Yes.
a Ferrari faster.
Yep. So we'll need to see that. You can email them to us, 3legs4wheels@gmail.com. You can send a private message on the Facebook page.
Yeah.
You can send us a direct message on Twitter. I'll be putting everything together. I'll do the spreadsheet.
Yeah, I think the best
will
way
appear on
to
the
do
website.
it is the screen. You know, like the
For those of new listeners who
Yeah.
are unfamiliar with Formula Lee, because let's be honest, since the last Formula Lee race, we've had
Yeah.
a lot of new listeners.
We've kind of added about 10,000 listeners since the last time we
Yeah.
had a Formula League
Yeah,
race.
so if you guys want to join in, what you
Yeah.
have to do is if you've got a copy of F1 2016 by Codemasters, either on the PC, do the Xbox version as well, Xbox, PS4, is that it? Is that
Yeah,
it
that's
platform-wise? We don't count the Android version, do we?
no, or Apple.
No. So what you do is basically you use what Lee has just stipulated there, Ferrari, midday,
Sunday.
sunny in Australia, and you try and set your very, very fastest time.
You've also got to do it on time trial mode.
Yeah,
Yeah.
time trial mode.
Time trial
yeah.
mode, and you've got to give us a picture of your.
And you send
laptop.
it in to us, and basically we run a championship based on this Formula 1 point scoring system.
Yeah.
And
Yeah, all driver aids are allowed.
Yeah,
no
there's
restrictions on anything
Yeah.
like that. So
there was going to be
there
there
was-
was talk of Burnley Eccleston putting the.
I think
putting-
when we switch over to Project Cars,
yeah,
we might be able to have more fun with settings.
yeah, but this is
We'll discuss that with Libert Lee Media.
Yeah.
Liberty Media.
That's a better one.
And so yeah, that's how it works. And if you want to do well, if you took part last year, or you were a little bit put off last year because you didn't think you were going to be very good or whatever, we don't care. Join in because it's great fun. We get a list of people's times and we put them all together.
Yeah.
And people are going to be a bit slow on the uptake at the beginning of the season. So if you want to get in, you think you got a chance of scoring points, this is probably your best chance.
Are you listening, Ed Forsyth?
Yes.
I think if we, I know we haven't fixed it with what our winner last year had yet because
Derek Schleicher was champion last year. wasn't
Yeah.
he? With like 7 out of 8 races.
Yeah,
won.
Derek, if you're listening, can you get back in touch and let us know your T-shirt size, please?
Yeah. But I think we're trying to line up something pretty cool.
I'm hoping in the next week or so, we will have some prizes for best times on the circuits. We're just in the process of sorting things out, and hopefully we'll be able to announce that on next week's podcast with this week's results.
Sounds sound.
So yeah, we'll actually have giveaways.
And next Monday, of course, for those again who are new to Formula League, you get a new one for the following race.
Just to say, the cut-off time will be Monday the 27th, 6 p.m. UK time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you've got to get your times into us before then, or it doesn't count.
And not email them. That's silly. Message them to our Facebook page. Go to our Facebook page. If you haven't already liked it, you're wrong, and you should go and like it. And then just send it to us in a message. Don't send them to my Twitter because we like to keep them on the same place because it makes it easier for us to.
Yeah,
sort
although
it out.
you can send them on a direct message to 3 Legs 4 Wheels on Twitter because it's me.
Yes, but if we make them go to Facebook, they'll have to like the Facebook page.
We could do with more Twitter likes as well. We need Twitter followers.
Well, that one leads to the other.
One leads to the other.
Yeah.
Very good.
It's me that puts the bloody spreadsheet together anyway.
I know, but I want more.
Stop
people on
arguing.
Facebook.
Get on with it.
All right, I'll stop arguing
We're
again.
fighting for the same team, man.
Oh, that's true, actually. Should we do the mailbag?
Let's do that.
We'll do the mailbag before we do the preview. Going to start off with a bit of an apology to Mark Wolfscale from last week. I got his name wrong. I called him Mike, and that's his dad.
Oh, okay, fair enough.
That's a mighty surname.
It is. Yeah, he says.
Sorry, Mark.
He also says
Thing
get
is-
Lee sorted about Formula Lee. I've been practicing all the off season.
Well, there you go. Wow, we're expecting big things then from.
Been practicing all winter, drinking Brass Monkey. Hope Lee doesn't drug test me. Anyone know what Brass Monkey is?
We can Google it.
I think we're gonna have to Google it.
Hope it's crack.
It's probably like Red Bull.
Yeah, probably.
Let's see.
Are you doing it now? You
I'm doing it now. One part vodka, one part orange juice, one part dark rum.
That's not that should make you slower.
Yeah, that's not a performance enhancer. You don't need to drug test him.
No.
Well, but it's not always performance enhancing. It's like, these runners and stuff that get done for smoking dope.
You should be slower.
I'm not being funny. If you can go and get baked and then win a race, you should be allowed to do as much as you want.
Maybe that should be the ballast for people who win all the time. Just smoke a couple of them, will you? We need to slow you down a bit.
Things that don't go slow. Andrew Pryor has sent us an email, and
Hello, Andrew.
It shattered our illusions.
Has it?
Yeah, well, yes.
Yes. You know the mental crash after a red flag that we thought was Maldonado, where he nearly takes a car out and about nearly 3 stewards.
Yeah.
It wasn't Maldonado.
Well, why?
Because he was driving a different car and it was somebody else that crashed.
It was doing a Maldonado.
He was doing a Maldonado. The crash was that spectacular that the entire universe thought it was Maldonado.
Do you know all that means is being Maldonado has now gone airborne.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, but no, thanks to Andrew for that. I mean, we're always happy to be proven incorrect and corrected.
Yes.
Speak for yourself.
No, I'm
I
quite
hate being proved incorrect.
I'm quite happy to be proven wrong, so long as the right information gets out there eventually.
But yes, it was a driver called Stefano Proetta who has never been heard of since. Probably
Fair
because he's
enough.
never been allowed to drive since that happened. Let's see, what else have we got? Shift over to Twitter. Robert Higgins sent us a tweet earlier. Why just have a stripe on the tyre when you could change the whole tyre colour so much easier to spot? I don't think that's possible.
I don't think that's possible.
Well, it's a.
I think the tyres have to be black because if they were to put a dye in the whole tyre, it would change the adhesion completely.
Go paint your tyres and go for a drive and tell me how that works for
No,
you.
don't.
I know what you said.
Like you should know as well as anyone else. Paint responsibly.
I know what you're saying, but I don't know if a dye in because it's not rubber. Remember that the tires are in
There's
Formula
no
1.
rubber in them, I don't believe.
It's a plastic.
Yeah.
It's like a plastic compound.
Yeah.
So colouring plastic is no different to colouring Play-Doh, I suppose. Is it really?
No, but I mean, there's another thing as well. It would look fucking ridiculous.
Yeah, I mean, we've had coloured tyres before with cars. There was a phase where you could buy bright green or bright red tyres from I can't remember who it was. It was a tyre manufacturer. Guess what? Nobody bought them.
Sounds like Blingstone.
Well, yeah, nobody bought them because they were a shit idea.
Yeah.
But for racing purposes, I could see why it'd be easier to spot. But the stripe at the moment is the only real way.
The stripe on the sidewall it's better than how it used to be because they didn't use. I mean, you go back sort of 5 or 6 years, they just had a dot on the side for the harder of the two compounds of the weekend.
They should paint Lance Stroll's white because it saves time when he sticks them in the tyre wall.
Just put them on top.
Just replace the ones that he's dinted.
Yeah.
Zach Henderson.
Hello, Zach.
Who do we think will be the Gutierrez of this season?
Lance Stroll.
That implies him finishing.
Oh, you mean like finishing 11th?
11th.
Oh, right. I just thought you meant like the dope of the field.
No, that's Ericsson.
Carlos will be higher than that.
Danny Kvyat might not be a bad shout.
Danny Kvyat might not be a bad shout. Nico Hülkenberg might not be a bad shout.
For captain 11th.
Yeah.
Julian Palmer
Might not be a bad shout.
Yeah, do you know what? I think the midfield is that mixed up this year. I can't see there being a
No.
consistent 11th
Too early
place.
to call it.
Yeah.
Too early to call, and too many teams are looking. The middle of the pack is looking as competitive as each other, from what we can see so far.
Could even towards the end of the year be looking at Alonso
For captain 11th.
for captain 11th.
Towards-
Nearly getting points.
Yeah.
Next race he'll probably get some points.
Yeah, like the last 5 races or so, it'd be like, can McLaren score any points?
I'd agree with you if I thought they were going to be as strong as they were last year, but I think we're back to 2015 McLaren.
I think the best we're going to see from Alonso this year is 11th in qualifying.
I can't wait to hear what he says on the radio.
He's
He's not a stupid man.
Doesn't
and,
hold back, does he?
and he knows the impact GP2 engine had.
Yeah, even in his Ferrari days when he was like, I think it was the first race that they had at Circuit of the Americas where I think he finished third. He was trying to chase Vettel,
Yeah.
and he came on the way. Give up. This is completely pointless. Like I may as well just settle for third.
Yeah.
And that at the time was a big thing. So I was like, what, Alonso saying he
Yeah.
was giving up on chasing somebody? So yeah, he's. I quite admire a driver who sort of wears his heart on his sleeve and isn't afraid to let his emotions boil over, but not to the point where you get McLaren era Lewis Hamilton. He just comes over like a whining little bitch.
Yeah.
So,
Or last year's Vettel.
Yeah.
or last year's Vettel, yeah.
Yeah, I think the FIA beat machine is going to be used for Alonso more than Seb this year.
Are we going to have a Stroll Patrol game?
I think we should.
I think
Yeah.
we should.
Stroll Patrol.
Stroll Patrol. When will Lance bin it?
Turn lap 1, turn 3.
Lap 1, turn 1. He's going to be the Australia first corner incident.
I think it'll last a bit longer than that.
No, do you know why? Because he's going to have a car which is quick enough to get him too far up the grid.
I think he's going to finish.
What?
I think he will do all the laps in
The
Australia.
race?
The race, yeah. No, not in the wall. He'll finish the race.
Fair enough.
Yeah, I'm going lap 1, turn 9. He'll lose it on that chicane.
Yeah, fair enough. You may well do. There's is that the fast? That's the slow chicane before the straights, isn't it?
Yeah,
Yeah, not the fast chicane.
not the fast chicane at the end.
This has to be retirement, though, isn't it? Don't it? Yeah.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. This is binning it. This is complete binning.
Yeah. We'd like predictions from our listeners as well for when Lance Stroll's going to crash.
Yep. Send your Stroll Patrol. That's easy for you to say. Stroll Patrol predictions to us as well, the same ways as before. You can do it on Facebook.
Yeah.
At 3 Legs 4 Wheels on Twitter, or email 3legs4wheels@gmail.com.
And you might as well do it this week, because if he's ace in Australia, we won't play the game anymore.
Yeah, this might be the only one. If it, it'll be Sunday morning. We'll see him on the podium. It's like, we'll find a new idea for
It's
it.
it would be
Losing
beta
Stroll.
test, isn't it?
Yeah. Yeah, we'll see how that goes. Right, shall we move on to talking about Australia?
This is an actual preview of an actual race for the first time since November, and that feels good.
It's been a long 4 months.
Do you guys ever see Top Gear when James May was saying about certain cars giving that fizzy feeling in between his stomach and his gentleman's area? This is what this does to me now. Formula One, I'm very close.
Thought it was just that chili that you had for your tea.
No, I didn't have to.
Yay, we're all erect and it's not gay.
No, it's not.
Now it is.
It's not the gentleman's area. It's between the stomach and the gentleman's area.
The lower stomach,
Yes.
the bit that
The
hangs
abdomen.
the bit that hangs over the trousers.
Well, only for.
I need to lose weight.
The gund.
Yeah, that's the one.
Dan is shaking his head in disappointment at Lee.
There's so often no words, which is really bad for a podcast.
There's so often no words to follow his words.
Good God. Right, yes.
I can't help it
An
if I have a
Australian-
vocabulary like this.
An Australian Grand Prix preview.
Yay.
We have to get up ridiculously early to live blog the race on Sunday morning.
We do.
Don't forget the clocks change.
The clocks change as well, so we get.
It's double bummed.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It's
double
even
bump.
earlier than you think.
Yeah, it is.
Oh, I forgot that they changed this week.
Yeah, they do.
Oh, God.
That night, in fact.
So you're losing an hour's sleep on top of losing 6 hours sleep.
Yeah.
I'm just going to bed on Friday and waking up in the early hours of Sunday. That's going to be the easiest way to do it.
fair
Oh, then I'll
enough.
miss qualifying.
Yeah, you
See,
will.
I suppose we can't feel that bad because realistically, we have to get up early like twice for 2 races, where Australia, if you're an Australian Formula 1 fan,
All
you
the
get
time.
fucked in the ass
Yeah.
every race.
Yeah, and Americans find it quite difficult to watch the race on their timescale as well, because the different timescales. It can be in the evening. It can be
I
in
was
the
going
morning.
to say for the American listeners, it's going to be a Saturday night race.
Isn't there a race which is on like Monday morning in Australia? Because it
Japan
goes
probably,
that
is it?
far out.
No,
Japan's going to be.
no, it'd be a late race in the UK. It'd be US.
Is it? Yeah, I don't know. I think I remember.
It was a Monday morning
May-
race in
maybe
Australia.
Brazil.
Yeah.
Brazil, that would be
Because that was an evening one, wasn't it?
yeah.
Canada? No, Canada would be
Same
right,
time
wouldn't
zones ish anyway.
Yeah.
So yeah, an Australian GP preview. We can't guess too much other than what we know from the tests, which we've already been over in the last 2 podcasts. We're at the risk of saying the same things again. But what we can do
Don't
is wild.
tell them that.
I know, but what we can do is wildly speculate.
Fuck again.
No,
We're
listen.
on the same team.
What we can do, Lee, is wildly speculate and make what we believe to be educated guesses.
Right. Lie.
That's
Yes.
the one.
Yes. Look at the betting websites and see what the odds are.
Ridiculously long on McLaren. Actually, ridiculously long on everyone that isn't driving a Mercedes, a Ferrari, or a Red Bull.
Yeah, ridiculously long on McLaren finishing a race in some cases.
Yeah.
I think the word torrid is going to be used in conjunction with McLaren.
Horrid, torrid,
Disaster.
disastrous.
Embarrassing.
Are we all of the same opinion that without bashing McLaren or Honda again, that they're probably going to be the back team of this race?
I think.
I think most of us will be pretty surprised if it's not a double retirement.
Yeah, but I think if we're looking at qualifying here before first, I think they'll be ahead of the Saubers if they can get out of the garage for a lap in.
If that's
I
a
mean,
that's a big if.
'cause we don't-
Just going back to a few comments that we've had. Dwayne, who suggested tonight's Total Shunt thing. Hardcore conspiracy question: what if McLaren were faking this the entire time, and realistically they have a car as dominant as the car they had during the Senna and Prost days?
It would be what's known as dark matter bagging.
Yes.
Yeah, that's not sandbagging. That is, that's iron bagging.
There isn't enough sand and enough bags to create that. As the only response was, nice bit of lunchtime drinking by Dwayne.
Yeah,
If that happens, it will be surprising.
it will be, but it'll make for a great race if that is the case.
Ron Dennis would have a stroke, wouldn't he?
Oh dear.
Yeah, Kevin Thompson, bold prediction, McLaren makes it into Q3, but neither car finishes the race. I'm tempted to take Kevin's predictions a little bit more seriously because he sent me a message during the Super Bowl as a New England Patriots fan in the third quarter saying, I think we can still win this. And he got that right.
Yeah.
That was the biggest comeback in history.
Yeah,
I don't know,
he
but
might
with-
just be like the eternal optimist.
I think he is in this case.
We're down to 20 cars, aren't we? So is it 15 for
It's-
Q2?
Yeah, five out in the first 2 qualifying sessions.
So 5. We're going to lose 5 cars in Q1. We're going to have to look at the 2 Saubers, 2 McLarens, and
2 Hasses.
well, only one.
Oh, sorry, a Haas
Do
probably.
you think a Haas probably?
Yeah, probably Grosjean.
Yeah.
Oh no, Magnussen.
Yeah, that might not be a bad shout.
I don't know because
It's going to be a tight
Gro-
midfield.
Grosjean was saying in an interview that all through testing they were running with the Ferrari power unit turned down.
Right. So there
So
might be some more to come from them.
so there may be a bit of sandbagging going on there. Yeah.
Yeah, talking of the Haas, Magnussen has been saying that the Dallara chassis that the
Yeah.
Haas uses is on a par with the ones that he used for McLaren and Renault.
Did
now,
he say
depends which McLaren, the 14 or the 15.
Well, I've already said, this McLaren is better than 2015 if it gets 2 growth cars to the grid.
Yeah.
that? Yeah.
I can't see a definite they are gonna be 15th in qualifying because Renault, Toro Rosso, and Haas are, I think, going to be that close.
Yeah, I think so. I think it's going to be interesting to see what Toro Rosso do, because I think they're going to overachieve or underachieve because we've kind of got it in our heads that they're going to be strong because essentially they look a bit like the Mercedes. It's when you put the cars next to each other.
Yeah.
But saying that, they haven't exactly done anything startling. I know it's testing, and I know you can't really get an idea from it, but we think we've got an idea that Ferrari's fast, and we think we've got an idea that Mercedes is fast, and we think we've got the idea that Red Bull is somewhere behind those two. They haven't really set anything alight, have they?
Not really.
So, because it's, I think, what's going to stop like cars getting into Q3 is going to be Williams. In that situation, because Williams look really quick.
You've got to think Williams are looking like fourth at the minute, just on the strength of testing.
Yeah, I mean, we don't know the configurations that cars are going to turn up with. Bless you.
Thank you. That one's been brewing for about an hour.
Yeah.
Yeah, we don't know what configuration cars are going to turn up with in Australia. I mean, do you remember Red Bull having that awful pre-season? A couple of years ago, and then they turned up at the first race, and Danny Ricciardo almost got pole, and I think he finished second.
Yeah.
So
see, I'm not convinced that Red Bull won't turn up and be in a position to win that race.
I'd love to see a three-way fight at the front.
If anyone's going to do it.
Yeah, but I mean, what we're looking at the moment is at the back. We're thinking Q1 levers probably McLaren, Sauber, a Haas, a Force India maybe. It would be kind of too tight to tell apart.
It'd be a bit of a surprise if Force India had dropped from being
Yeah.
at the sharp end to being at the back.
Well, Haas have already turned around and said that they don't think it's imperative this year to start well like they did last year. Which I know what they're trying to say, that they want to build through the year rather than have the good results at the front and then drop off. But that already sounds like an excuse to me.
Possibly, yeah.
It's I think Haas they're gonna do well considering it's their first year building the majority of the car.
Yeah.
But I don't think they're gonna be what people hope they will be.
Yeah, I think they're still a good couple of years off regular Q3 participants.
Yeah. I think another year will stick them solidly in a Toro Rosso sort of area. You know, like solid point scoring mid-grid team.
Yeah.
But not this year. I think we're still going to be looking at them 10th.
So who do we think we'll probably be looking at the 5 cars in Q2? Probably the other Haas or the other one of whichever team goes out in Q1. Maybe both Renaults.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously, the ones that are getting through to Q3, you're looking at the 2 Mercedes, the 2 Ferraris, the 2 Red Bulls, the 2 Williams.
I would say maybe the 2 Toro Rossos as well, if that car is looking pretty handy.
Yeah. And then that leaves
Force India
and Renault and Haas, the
McLaren and Sauber.
McLaren and Sauber are already at the back.
See, I wouldn't be surprised if Renault jump Toro Rosso and Force India.
Renault could make it through to Q3. You think?
Yeah, it wouldn't surprise me at all.
It would show the development steps that they've made.
Yeah.
I'd be really interested to see in this first race as well as it is with every season, just exactly what everyone's race pace is, because we've seen like Felipe Massa put in absolutely stunning times in testing. Same with Ferrari, Raikkonen and Vettel right up there with times. Vettel even supposedly lifted off before the end of his lap because he was told, "You're gonna go a bit quick here, Seb," and he's like, so he held back a bit.
Yeah.
So Ferrari might have wonderful single lap pace and lock out the front row.
Yeah.
But when it comes to race pace, they might be down. Might be down a couple of seconds. I think I know we're not really mailbagging at the moment, but was it regular listener Michael Cohen who asked about the tyre complaints? Has anybody put any tyre complaints in yet? We don't know of any, do we?
We've not heard anyone
negative feedback.
Not heard anyone kicking off since testing. The last tyre complaint I remember hearing was when Vettel did a tyre test towards the
wet one.
Yeah. Yeah, towards the end of January, and
Yeah.
he said they're not good enough.
Was that the one he crashed in?
Probably.
It's the one where he hit the wall.
Yeah, I think
and it
this-
cancelled Giovanni's Ferrari test.
There's been some talk about the weather tyre not being particularly up to it, but everyone seems pretty happy with the harder compounds.
There's a science time here.
Yeah.
There's going to be with these
Concentrate.
with these wider cars, the wider wheels.
You've lost me.
The more aero, flowing over the car as well.
Yeah.
The sideways forces when these cars are going so much quicker round corners. The sideways energy that puts through the tires is a lot bigger than previous years.
Yeah, well, that's the
going
thing.
back to around about 98 when they start skinnying up the tires a little
Yeah.
bit.
Well, we haven't had them through like full load yet either. So
No. Full load, full stints at full pace.
it's okay. By the end of Australia, everyone will be shouting at Pirelli wanting them to make more tyres that degrade more.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, Pirelli are bound to be accused of getting it wrong at some point before June.
Yeah.
And it would be the team that gets it wrong in Australia that will blame Pirelli for
Yeah.
it.
Yeah. Yeah,
McLaren.
that's not a bold prediction. That's just staringly obvious.
Yeah.
I mean, we're saying we're not mailbagging. There's various comments related to the race preview, which is why I didn't do the full mailbag before. We could just sort of drop them in here. Daniel Gustafsson says, "Will Red Bull sandbag in practice and go full on in the qualifying, or will we see them show good practice pace?"
I
No,
don't.
they're
Nobody really shows pace in practice, do they?
No.
Qualifying simulations in practice 3.
Yeah. More so. You know, if you're going to sandbag in testing, you're not going to sandbag in the practice sessions. You want to make sure that you can do your race runs, get the laps in for stints. For example, here's a soft tyre. We think that can do 28 laps, and we think you should be doing these lap times with this amount of degradation. Go out and do it.
Yeah, I mean, it's the usual thing. More so in Australia is FP1 is does it work?
Yeah.
Because we've just stuck a load of new bits on that you didn't have on in Barcelona. FP2 is here are some tyres. These are what you should be doing at race pace, in race trim, on these. Go do those times.
FP1 is does it work? McLaren's answer no.
Yeah.
FP2 does it work?
Does it work now?
No.
FP3 is have you tried turning it off and on again?
Yeah, and of course, FP3 is usually qualifying simulations or last second adjustments.
Yeah.
Contact your network administrator or internet service provider.
Hello. And I think that's what we'll see from all of the teams. And I don't think there'll be any sandbagging going on. We're not going to see times setting the scoreboards alight.
There might be a bit of cat and mouse as well.
Although we are going to.
I think we'll see a
Conversely,
lap
we're going to see
record.
faster times than last year because the cars are faster.
Lap records, I think,
Yeah.
are well within well within grasp. I don't know what the lap record is at Australia, but it must be a Michael Schumacher lap from the V10 era. I think Paul's just doing a bit of left-handed googling, but the
Wow.
Anthony Davidson.
The lap record is 124.125, set by Michael Schumacher in 2004.
All right.
well, there you go.
The,
That was a good guess.
I think
what was the
Anthony
fastest lap
Davidson
last
still
year?
got one somewhere.
Oh, I knew you were going to ask a question.
Still
like
got
that.
Anthony Davidson's got
Yeah.
the lap record somewhere, has he?
Yeah.
So yeah, Michael Schumacher, 2004. That's not really a surprise, is it? But I think we could see times tumbling under that 124.
See, this could be interesting as well because like the teams are obviously going to be trying to hide what pace they've got, but they don't know what pace anybody else has got because they don't know what the ultimate pace is going to be.
That's the thing. Everybody's going to have to show their hand.
I don't think they will.
Yeah, no, I think they will.
I don't think they can do.
Right, the times that we're looking at for this year, Lewis's pole time last year was a 1:23.8, and fastest lap in the race was Danny Rick with a 1:28.9.
So 5 seconds slower than quali pace. So we could see qualifying pace like 1:18, 1:19.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think pole is going to be
Bless you, Dan.
sub 120. The question being, can McLaren go faster than last year's pole time?
That'd be
Probably.
interesting. What's the difference between qualifying and pole time there? What's the difference?
5
5 seconds.
So we could
5.1.
So we could be looking at the qualifying pace of last year being this year's race pace.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's mental.
That will show that the improvements for
Yeah.
speed have worked.
It'll also be really interesting to see just how close these cars can follow, if they can follow, or if they all suffer from Mercedes-itis and none of them can follow. And it's all. I hope it's not a case that all the passing is done under pit stops, because we don't want to go back to those days either.
I think Verstappen was saying that he didn't really see any difference between this year's car and last year's car.
But that's
in
Max
how it
Verstappen.
follows. It's also a very simple car design,
Yeah.
or relatively simple.
It is, but is with there being so much being so much wider and a lot more aero going on as well, the disrupted air is affects the cars greater than it did last year. So DRS is going to be probably more effective if you can get within DRS range. But if you can get within DRS range and you can't pass, you're going to have to drop back to like 2 or 3 seconds back again, which is going to be really boring. Let's be honest.
Yeah. Do you know what? It could all be fixed. This. I mean, obviously the teams want to design their own cars because that's the idea of it. But it could all be fixed this by having a standard front wing.
Yeah. It could be.
Have a front wing that is literally designed to smash a hole in the air in front of you. Therefore, when anyone's following behind you, they're going to lose downforce, but they're also going to get a really good slipstream because there's less turbulent air coming off it, which is what fucks it all up.
Yeah, that's exactly what it is. Yeah.
So,
Yeah, I can't see how that wouldn't improve things.
Yeah.
So, just in case you get qualifying, and it's completely reasonable that this could happen.
Yeah.
You get like one of the top teams has a bit of a breakdown in qualifying, can't compete for the rest of the session, has to start at the back of the grid. Be interesting to see how quickly they can scythe through the rest of the field and get up towards the top.
I think Alonso's going to have an actual breakdown.
A human mental breakdown.
Yeah.
Are we
Emotional
talking full on Hakkinen Monza style breakdown?
Yeah, just punching the ground, crying. Then he'll strip off naked, running off into the forest bit there, into the trees, shouting, "I'm a pixie."
He might strip off and jump into the lake
He might do.
because there is that lake there.
Did we mention before that Hakkinen's
Jump-
back at McLaren?
No, we didn't.
He is, though.
Jumps into the lake swimming with the currents, just screaming, "Back to Spain!"
Yeah, no, we missed that bit in the news before.
Yeah, we did because you didn't write it down.
I did. It's there.
Where?
Underneath where it says McLaren explore Mercedes engine.
Oh, that's what it's.
podcast this has been.
That's what. Oh, that's what it's. I've got a cold. That's my excuse. I'm sticking to it. Yes, Hakkinen back at McLaren.
Which is weird because he was at Mercedes and not McLaren for many years after he ended.
And just as he turns up back there, the story broke about McLaren have spoken to Mercedes about engines.
Yeah.
Related?
Who knows? All right. Anyway, apart from that,
Back to the
Race.
Race.
what are we thinking?
Let's we make some predictions.
I think
Actual
so.
predictions. Hard predictions. Let's be honest. Probably the most difficult predictions of the season because we don't know.
Yeah, it's a toughie.
Shall we predict the podium?
Go on,
Yeah.
Lee, you go first.
Kimi Raikkonen
First or second or third?
first.
Yeah.
Lewis Hamilton second. Daniel Ricciardo third.
Not a bad shout. So you're going for discarding Vettel
Yeah.
as a Ferrari and Bottas as well.
I don't know
Mercedes
why,
debut.
but I think Kimi's going to be stronger than Vettel.
I'm looking forward to seeing how Valtteri Bottas gets on his Mercedes debut. He appears to be quite impressive with his pace, but with it being his first race, might be a little bit tentative. Won't want to make a mistake. Will just want to have a strong finish.
Yeah.
So I'm going to say Lewis Hamilton first, Kimi Raikkonen second, and Valtteri Bottas third.
I reckon Hamilton's going to put it on pole, but then he's going to bollocks up the start. Bottas first,
Winning on his debut.
winning on his debut. Hamilton second, Raikkonen third.
Ooh.
But a lot of love for Kimi here.
Because remember that this year the start procedure has changed a bit,
It has.
and it's linear clutch.
Yeah.
Last year they had the clutches mapped so that you just had to have them in roughly the right place.
Yeah,
at the
it was
bite point.
between last year. It was between 10 and 90% depressed. This year it's something like between 45 and 47%.
Alonso is 100% depressed. For those that don't understand, obviously not me because I well understand. What do you mean by linear clutch?
What I mean by linear clutch is something what I read on the internet. No, as Paul was saying, between was it
45 and 47.
30 and 70 last year.
No, it was actually it was I think it was something like 20 to 90.
Between 20 and 90% of where the clutch was,
because on the
of where the clutch paddle
Was on and off.
put the clutch in the right place.
Right.
Now, like your clutch on your car, the more you move the paddle, the more the clutch moves.
Oh,
so
right.
you've got a really, really narrow window on the paddle.
I don't know what I'm saying,
which-
right, folks? I obviously knew. But,
Yeah.
But
But I meant the listeners.
Oh,
rather
yeah.
than you
but
personally.
the drivers now actually have to find the biting point on the clutch.
to within like quarter of a millimetre.
Wow.
It's the teams have been instructed that they can't put any help, like bits of plastic or like little keyboard tabs.
Half a tennis ball behind the clutch.
Yeah, They can't. There's got to be a void area at the back of the clutch paddle. So it's got to be complete by feel only, and the driver's just got a complete free hand.
I'd have thought
in finding the biting point.
I'd have thought the avoid area was anywhere around Lance Stroll.
No, they can't have a full avoid area around it because how will the marshals get him out of the car?
Right. Okay.
So yeah, the starts are going to be more difficult. Now I didn't think about that.
He's going to place cones around his car and make him race with cones around him.
Or cone off a certain section of the whole circuit and just have a Lance lane.
Oh,
It'll be the 3 bananas that he's got travelling behind him that are the problem.
Just hope he doesn't put out any red shells.
No, it's the fucking purple ones. They're the ones.
Yeah.
They whoever introduced those into Mario Kart needs shot.
Purple. I thought they were blue. I'm cool. The ones that take out the leader.
Yeah,
they're blue.
Oh, they're blue.
They're blue. Yeah. Yeah. Although I am colourblind.
They're horrible.
Yeah, they are. Yeah, you make an interesting point about Lewis screwing up the start, but are Mercedes gonna let Bottas win if Lewis gets back to fighting within a position of him?
I think they're
They'll
going
let
to have
them
to
race, won't they?
Yeah, I think they're going to have to let them race as well because I think Ferrari are too strong for them to take anything for granted.
Possibly.
Especially at the first race of the season, it wouldn't look good for them if they were putting team orders in right off the bat.
I don't think it would. You see, if they come out the gates like McLaren in '98, I don't think it matters. Like, give it like if they're that far ahead of the rest of the grid and they do the whole first into the first corner shenanigans, I can fully understand that. But I think Ferrari might be the best thing that's happened to Bottas because they're not going to be able to play games with the drivers. They're just going to need their drivers to go for it.
Of course, this does give us the chance of seeing the resurgence of Bitch Lewis if he fucks the start up.
Does.
And we all know.
In fairness, though, Kimi Räikkönen's not great with different clutch starts. He made a few bad starts when they changed the clutches. Remember Italy? Was it last year or the year before?
I think who's going to do well, and this is going to sound so stupid, but who's going to do well this year is going to be the people that look in to this all going their way. Like Massa seems to be one at the minute where he seems to have come back in, and luckily the new stuff suits his driving style.
Yeah.
He's finally found new regulations that he can get on with from the start.
Yeah,
because
yeah.
I've said this before. He traditionally struggles every time it changes.
See, it's a shame for me because I think I mean it wouldn't fucking matter with the way McLaren is, but if Button had have gone to Williams, I think this whole very grippy rear end would have suited Button's style like really well.
The other thing that would have suited Button style, of course, is the harder, more durable tyres.
Yeah.
Because they're going to be good for an extra, we'll say 5 laps for a soft.
So
So that would have been an extra 7 for him.
Yeah.
So he could have done even longer stints and eked more out of them. Still haven't done my predictions yet.
No, you haven't.
Give us your predictions.
I think we will see Vettel take this one. Kimi in second, and
Ferrari 1-2.
yeah,
Wow,
and I think Lewis will be third.
that's brave.
Going a little bit bold, but Vettel will win it off the start, and Ferrari know the mistakes not to make with bad strategy in Australia after
Here's
last
a
year.
prediction, actually. A Mercedes won't finish the race because with Ferrari being up with them, this is going to be the first time that Mercedes have actually had to turn the dial up on things.
And get pushed.
Yeah.
And reliability comes into it.
And I think you'll see them having to move slightly out of the comfort zone, because one thing we have seen is when they've been raced brakes for Mercedes a few times.
Yeah.
So I think there will be an issue with one or both of the Mercedes.
How many engines do we think McLaren are going to go through over the course of the weekend?
Three.
Serious question.
3 for each driver.
3 brand new power units.
Yeah.
You think they will have one different power
3
unit every day?
3 internal combustion engine units for each driver. ICE units.
Though the other thing as well to think about this is, the penalties carry over, don't they now?
They do, yeah. You know, if you've got a 40-place grid penalty,
Yeah.
that's 2 races you're at the back for, rather than
At least.
yeah.
The thing is, though, with McLaren, we're not expecting them to qualify any higher than 15th at best at first.
Yeah.
You could actually see McLaren penalties hanging over them for 8 to 10 races, and they will still be in penalty debt by the end of the season.
I was just going to say more than that, mate. If we get to Spain, for instance, yeah, and let's say Honda will probably have a new engine for them come Spain. Let's say there's a proper advantage with it, but they've already gone through Flood's 3 engines. Then they're going to have to get engines in the pool of the new engines. So you'll see them fitting a couple, in pre-practice again, like they have done.
I don't think they're allowed to do that by the new rules.
They can't do
Oh,
that.
are they not?
They can't do that this year. They can't put the new engines into the pool.
But if you've already got enough penalties that you're at the back for every race for the rest of the
You
year,
can take engines out if you haven't used them. If you haven't used any part of the engine, you can take them out of the pool and put a new one in.
Yeah,
if you
yeah.
developed it.
Yeah.
Like if for example, if Mercedes only used one engine for Lewis Hamilton in the first 4 races of the season, and they're like, oh, we've developed these. They can take out 2 of the, of the 4 that they haven't used and put 2 of the new power units, newly developed ones in. But they can't take out ones they've used.
But I'm not right. Here when we've had like a really bad McLaren race over the last couple of years.
Every race.
I know, but they've had like fucking 100-place grid penalty.
Yeah.
Yeah. If you have McLaren already like 4 races into the season, booking their place at the back of the grid for the entire season,
Could happen.
but can you see Alonso being able to keep the motivation to turn up to work every day, knowing that no matter what happens to the car, he literally has to start every race last every race?
At that point, there's no reason that Honda wouldn't give him a brand new engine for every session.
Every
Yeah.
session. Yeah. I know what you mean.
Because they can't penalise him anymore.
But if you've already got this and you know the engine isn't going to get any better, or you don't think they're going to improve, like let's say the new engine they give them in Spain doesn't make any difference in a good pop, like how could you do that when you're a world champion, multiple race winner, in the conversation for best driver of all time in my eyes? How can you fucking get the motivation to go to work with that?
It must be difficult.
Well, I mean, obviously there's 35 million reasons, but I mean, the guy doesn't. I'm sure having a massive contract is very nice, and the money that you earn from it is very nice.
Yeah, all right, okay, right.
But
he's on 35.
Alonso doesn't need any more money.
No, he's on 35 million euros, is it?
Yeah.
Or pounds,
I think it's
dollars,
pounds
not
a
sure what
year.
it
It's
is.
about the same these days.
Yeah. But you could offer him, not that you would, because you don't have that kind of. You could offer him 40 million euros, dollars, pounds,
Yeah.
to come and be your butler. He wouldn't accept it.
No, you're right. Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? It's not the money that's keeping him there.
He'd be a really grumpy butler.
He'd be rubbish.
Yeah.
Alonso is your butler. No thanks. The hell is this, Fernando? I asked for
a sandwich 2 days ago. 2 days.
I've been sat here starving.
And you've been in a deck chair in the garden.
GP2 sandwich, Alonso. GP2 sandwich.
Right, I'm just trying to find it, and I can't find it anywhere. The amount of penalties that McLaren got over the whole course of last season for
I thought
engine
you were looking
changes.
for WWE Page's sex tape.
No, I'm not. But the biggest penalty that we've seen so far was 105 places that they both got in 2015 in one race.
105 places.
Yes.
Would you put them at the back for at least 5 races?
Now, if you think about it,
But they only did that because it left them at the back for one race.
Yeah.
Looking for love in all the wrong places.
anything more than let's be charitable here. Let's say they end up with they have the fastest car with the least reliable engine. 400 places. Anything more than that definitely guarantees them to be at the back all season. And if
Yeah.
they can rack up 105 in one race.
Well, yeah, but as Dan said,
The 105 was from 2 engine changes for each driver, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, and they did that on purpose because they knew it
Yeah.
would be for one race. It's
Yeah.
like kind of what Hamilton did in Belgium last year.
With his 75.
Yeah.
But yeah, if you accrue over 400, and that's just at the start of the season, obviously
Yeah.
that drops by 20 each time.
Yeah.
We could actually be by June, McLaren having to be at the back every race.
Well, and the big issue they've got as well is the fact that you're only allowed 5 engines.
4.
4, is it?
4. They've reduced it this year.
Yeah. Yeah, so if Chris's prediction is right, and they lose 3 each,
They're going to go to the next race with their only engine for the season. And I guarantee, I can't fucking guarantee it, but
Garen Lee.
yeah, I think both those cars will do an engine in the race at least. Sorry, they can't do more than one engine in the race. That would involve Alonso's engine blowing up, walking into the garage and smashing the other engine with a hammer.
Stoffel Van Dorn's going back out. The race finished 7 hours ago.
See, that's we keep fucking talking about McLaren. Like I said, we're going to need a McLaren podcast soon. But
What do you think this is?
I fear for that lad. Like,
Yeah.
It could be career destroying. Here, getting his break with McLaren.
it could be, but if he can still show himself to do well against Alonso,
Yeah,
even in an exploding car,
I consider Anthony Davidson one of the best Formula One drivers never to get a real go at Formula One.
Yeah.
And his career was destroyed because he started with Super Aguri. He did well with Super Aguri at the beginning of the season. I think he scored points in the first couple of races.
Yeah.
But that car started the season and ended the season exactly the same.
And it was a previous year's car as well.
Yeah. And, it's... Then he did a couple of races, I think, for Aguri the next year. Then he got replaced or something like that. I think something along the lines like that.
They ran out of money and they had to bring another driver in that was paying more.
Yeah, so he deserved more than he got, and it shows he deserved more than he got because he was snapped up as a test driver for BAR, and he's been a massive part of Mercedes test driving as well.
Yeah.
He's ripped WEC apart since Toyota has got it together.
He won a world championship, didn't he?
Yeah.
Yeah.
to me, what that shows is he's probably not very good at bringing sponsorship to a team.
Probably not, but I'd argue then when he was in Formula One, it was before that you were desperate to get you were desperate for sponsorship money in Formula One.
It's always been important.
No, it's always been important, but the top and bottom of it is, I think, as long as like the quick drivers that approve themselves will always find themselves staying in the sport. Nico Hulkenberg, for instance, I don't think he brings a massive amount of money with him,
but he does bring ability and reliability.
Yeah, and David Coulthard would be another good one as well, I'd have thought.
Yeah.
But yeah, he couldn't show what he had. Then eventually, when the team he was with got a different driver in, there was he hadn't shown enough to get snapped up by a bigger team or a mid-grid team or something like that, and that was his go gone. And I could see the same thing happen to Stoffel if McLaren can't sort themselves out.
I mean, the problem Davidson had with Super Aguri is the team went bust after 4 races of 2008. There wasn't a seat for him.
Yeah.
And then by the following year,
Formula One's moved on.
Yeah, it'd been taken on as a test driver, and that was the best he could expect because he didn't bring a pedigree with him.
Yeah. I knew something happened in that second season.
Yeah, 4 races and no more money. Just want to quickly refer to a tweet we actually got on the subject from Mike Hoff.
From who?
Mike Hoff. He's at Hassel the Hoff.
Ace.
Cool Twitter handle. You've got to feel bad for both Alonso and Stoffel. One whose talent in the right car could still be winning championships, and one who's brand new to this grade of racing and realistically might not be able to showcase how talented he could be.
The Hoff's a clever man.
I think that is right because
Either that or a psychic man.
it's gonna do irreparable damage to the Stoffel brand.
Could do irreparable damage to fucking McLaren if they have another year.
Yeah. Could Stoffel end up being the new Pascal?
Could Stoffel be deflated?
I think he could well be deflated.
Yeah. I'm sorry, I was waiting for somebody else to throw another punchline in.
No.
I thought I'd throw it out there for a food-based pun, but nobody picked it up.
No. It was half-baked.
Yes, that's what we wanted.
So do we think he's going to get dunked next year?
Yeah, oh God. But yeah, it could ruin his career, and we could be looking at him as the next Pascal, and they don't know what to do with him because nobody dare take a chance.
Maybe. I think he's got his head screwed on a little bit more and his feet a bit firmly nailed to the floor than Pascal Wehrlein.
I think he'll be lucky. He'll be lucky enough to get another seat from McLaren anyway, because if the car's shit all year anyway, he's going to get the drive next year because Alonso won't be there and they won't replace both drivers.
Now, I've seen interviews with Stoffel Van Dorn. I don't think I've seen anything at length with Pascal Wehrlein, but I think it was the Belgian GP, not year gone, year before. Martin Brundle had a quick chat with Stoffel on Sky, and he's like, this is quite close to where I grew up.
Mm-hmm.
Not really anywhere near Spa. I had to travel quite far, in Belgium, as far as you can travel in Belgium to get to Spa.
Yeah.
He's not caught up in the whirlwind of I'm a Formula One driver.
No, he does seem
the
quite.
Swagger.
He seems like a nice guy.
Yeah, he's got his feet firmly planted on the floor, much like Jolyon Palmer. Jolyon comes from a family full of money, and Jonathan Palmer, but he's not got.
But it's not his fault.
No, he's not got the. He's not got the. The Formula One arrogance, which unfortunately makes drivers very successful.
I was just going to say that he might find himself not hard enough.
Yeah, not arrogant enough.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Whereas I think that's what Pascal Wehrlein's problem is. He's got the arrogance, but perhaps maybe not the talent.
Yeah. Which I suppose is what you want more of.
Yeah. I'd like to see Wehrlein
in Formula E.
Yeah. I'd like to see Wehrlein in a good car at race speed just to see if you've said it. Walk it.
Yeah. Do you remember when Gutierrez said he was going to drive for someone next year, and it definitely wasn't a Formula E team?
Oh, you mean just before he signed for that Formula E team?
Today,
to Cheetah or something, I think they're called, and he signed for them for the rest of the season.
That should be
terrible.
No, it should be terrible. But to Cheetah, surely that should be Piquet's team.
Yes.
Oh. That's harsh. Any other predictions for the weekend then?
It looks like it's going to be sunny, so it doesn't look like weather's going to play any part in helping or hindering anybody. So it looks like this sunny with a bit of cloud all weekend long.
Is it?
Yeah, it doesn't
Yeah.
appear to be any deviation in normal Melbourne weather. So
Although things may change in the not too distant future because Adelaide have said they want the race back.
can that circuit that Adelaide held on street circuit, is that equipped for modern Formula One?
I would say no.
I would also say no.
Well, it's a street circuit, so I wouldn't. I don't know why you'd say no.
There was Mika Häkkinen's devastating accident in 96, I think
Yeah.
it was, 95, 96.
It was 96. It was the last. It was the
95.
last.
it must
Sorry,
have
no,
been,
it was
yeah.
95.
Yeah, because it was the last Australian GP, because they finished the season in Australia and then started the following season in Australia.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which is confusing.
I'd also say they're different cars then.
Yeah, it was safety issues, runoff areas. I'm sure Adelaide as a city has changed a bit since 22 years ago. It'd be, for nostalgic reasons, it'd be great. Yeah, everybody remembers Mansell's tyre blowout, or at least remembers seeing Mansell's tyre blowout at the end of the big long straight.
I do remember that. I stayed up to watch it and I was absolutely gutted.
Yeah,
Yeah.
because Mansell had a chance of winning the championship, didn't he?
Yeah.
All he had to do was pass his teammate was in front of him.
All they had to do was finish in the top 6.
Oh,
he just
God.
needed. I think he just needed 1 point.
and he didn't get any.
That tyre blowout, and I actually switched the race off after he went out.
Yeah. He should have been world champion about 3 or 4 times, Nigel Mansell, but we had to wait for that dominant season with Williams in 92. Adelaide produced some spectacular races. David Coulthard crashing out as well, I seem to remember, in 95 as well. On for a really good finish in his last race at Williams and put it into the barriers right by the pits, causing huge confusion as to what to do with the car, because the marshals were all around the car and it was like, slow down because you're right next to the circuit there. It's very narrow in places, that Adelaide circuit as well, so I don't know if it would work as a modern Formula One track.
No, I can't see it. We do have the debut of some other new technology this weekend as well.
Go on.
For the live blog. I bought a new coffee machine.
Oh yes.
I have. Yep, it's the new espresso maker's F1 debut this weekend. All right, it's been in pre-season testing since December when I got it.
Yeah.
It was a early Christmas present.
But if you enjoy our live blogs, then if you enjoy our podcast, you can come and help us along with the live blogs, because we are actually active during the races. For those of you who aren't aware,
Not particularly active. We're sat down.
we're sat down, but we're active. We're online. and
Drinking lots of coffee. I've got some original Malaysian Red Bull in for the weekend as well.
Amazing syrup. we live blog the races. We spot things that perhaps you guys might not be seeing in your respective countries. Sometimes we even pick up on
which
things.
for our American listeners is about 50% of the race because they're usually showing adverts.
Yeah, we pick up on things sometimes before the big TV networks spot things.
And the life of a Formula One fan can be a solitary, lonely one sometimes.
It can, yeah. And if you're getting up really early in the UK or Europe to watch the race, we'll be up, we'll be watching it. If you're staying awake late to watch the race, we'll be there. It's
And if you're in the middle of the afternoon in Australia, yeah, hi.
yeah. Hi, Josh.
Not everyone can find friends to talk about Formula One and Dan. But
But yeah, please do come along. We're doing that on 3legs4wheels.com.
Yep, have a look.
Look out for the Facebook page post, because we'll put that up on Facebook. So come on over to Facebook and like that page.
Yep, there's plenty of space for comments. There's one of us reading tweets and Facebook comments all the time that are coming in. You can comment on the live blog. All 4 of us will be about. And if you want to tweet our personal accounts, I'm Pablo100.
I'm at Shunt.
At Flood21
And at Danbert.
So get in touch with us before and during and obviously after the race as well.
Yeah.
We'll have a full roundup of whatever the hell happened, which we're all massively looking forward to.
That's crazy. We're going to have a review podcast next Monday.
To say how wrong our predictions were.
Yes.
Which
Felipe Massa? You're joking.
It could happen.
It could well
Could-
happen.
it could.
Could well happen.
Yeah, Alonso with the most overtakes of the day when he was unlapping himself. Oh. Yeah, okay. Lee's mouthing at me, and we've also got an extra podcast that we do every week, which is available to our Patreon patrons. If you want to listen to that, there's other I would say prizes, but giveaways on there as well.
Yeah.
If you go to patreon.com/3legs4wheels, subscribe for as little as $1 a month, and
That gets you the extra half-hour
Yeah.
that
podcast.
gets you the extra half-hour podcast. It's not about Formula One. It's just usually
We're just talking crap about how
anything and
boring we
everything.
are.
TV, movies, video games, conspiracy theories, who drank what this weekend.
What we've been up to, which usually isn't very much.
It's usually watching TV or movies and drinking things at the weekend.
Yeah, and the other thing, like looking at our download figures and stuff like that for what we have now, is that if people are sort of thinking, oh well, I don't want to just like put $1 in, but I don't want to pay $5 because I totally understand that. But if everyone that listens to this podcast was to give us $1 into Patreon, that would give us so much money to do extra things. Like we could start doing video stuff and all sorts of extra content we could
Absolutely.
get you
Yeah.
with that extra money. You
Yeah,
know, it's-
everything that gets pledged through Patreon goes straight back into the podcast.
Yeah.
We don't actually take anything out of this. The only thing that we get out of it is it goes in the biscuit fund.
Yeah, because we sort of spitball so many ideas of stuff we could do and things like that, and even down to like stupid not stupid ideas, but ideas like doing things almost like a Top Gear tour sort of thing, and that like if everyone was to give us $1, we could do things like that.
Yeah. But we're not asking. Donate if you want.
Yeah.
Thanks massively to everyone that has donated. We do appreciate it. It does pay to keep us on the internet basically, and of course we've got to thank our hosting company for that as well.
Yeah.
Thanks very much to
keep forgetting to
Cloud
give-
Above.
Keep forgetting to say thanks to Cloud Above for all the help and support that they've given us, because we found out what we should be paying compared to what we are paying.
Yeah.
So cheers guys. Really appreciate that.
The other thing I was happy to see the other day is that we're now in the top 150 for sports and recreation on the iTunes charts, I believe. Yeah.
No, it's better than that.
What are we now?
98
Oh, we.
in the UK.
Wow. So, if you could all go on, if any of you's got iPhone devices, go on and give us a 5-star rating, because it'll help boost us up. It'll help us get more listeners, and
It'll help you get a better podcast at the end of the
Essentially,
day.
yes.
Yeah.
Sorry, I apologise for saying 98. I was wrong.
what are we?
80.
Get in.
There we go.
Um,
So yeah, it will help you guys get a better podcast at the end of the day. So I mean, we're not asking an awful lot, really. Just
No.
give us a 5-star
5-star.
rating.
and we'd like to thank all our Panamanian listeners as well
Yep,
for putting us into the charts at number 2 in Panama.
that'll do. The second most listened podcast in Panama.
Second most listened to sports podcast in Panama.
That's fine. I'll
Yeah.
take that.
Unfortunately, we're only the 60th overall most listened to podcast in Panama out of all podcasts.
Oh dear.
I can handle that.
If you're in Panama, thank you very
Thank
much.
you very much to everyone in Panama.
Thank
That
you,
is-
Panama.
that
We
is
love
that
you.
is wow.
Also, Paul's gonna have to help me out here, but you can go and vote for us on. Is it the British Choice
The
Awards?
British Podcast Awards.
Yeah.
You will need to go to BritishPodcastAwards.com. Click on the link at the top of the page that says vote for your favourite podcast. All you'll need to do on that page is search for 3 legs
As one word.
as one word. If you just
No
put in 3
spaces.
legs without spaces, our podcast comes up. Then it'll ask you for your name, your email address. You can enter the draw to win tickets, which if you're going to be in London sometime during the last weekend in April, you
Yeah.
might be in with a chance of winning tickets.
I don't think any of us will be there.
I think if we get nominated for an award, one of us will have to be there.
Oops.
Yeah, I don't know if we're going to be able to make it or not, but we'll see.
Yeah.
We'll see. It's towards the end. The actual awards are towards the end of April. You can vote up to the 28th of April, and the competition keeps going until the 14th. But the competition keeps going until the 14th.
Yeah.
To win the free tickets. Thank you to everyone that's voted for us. I've already mentioned it on the Facebook page and various tweets.
It was such a quick uptick as well when we put it. We'll put it back up when we put the podcast up.
Yeah.
And take it.
We'll put the link up there. So a massive thank you to everyone that's voted for us. And
of course, we are sailing towards our 100th show as well.
And
That's coming up soon.
Of course, we've got the 100th show in 3 weeks' time. Can we reveal one of the things that we're doing now?
I don't know.
No, let's keep it as a
We're
surprise.
going to keep it as a surprise for when it happens.
Naked podcast.
So that's the one that you're doing in one building and we're doing over Skype in another.
You just want to watch me over stats. Dirty.
It's
No,
a bit,
with
isn't
a-
it? Yeah, it's a bit wrong.
No,
I like it. I like it.
I don't.
With
No,
with a plaster
you
over
said
the
it.
webcam.
Plaster over my nipples.
And on that note,
On that note,
thanks for listening to us this week. Here's to a great race this weekend. F1 is back. Yes.
Yeah.
And we'll see you next week.
Arrivederci.
bye.
Bye-bye.